Hello fans of Marvel heroes, and by popular request, this is a video on Cable, and quite a number of you have been asking if I'm going to do a video on Cable. In fact, I wanted to wait a little bit longer for the tuning to happen and so on, but I think now is the right time, and I've spent hours looking into the hero and all the numbers and so on, analyzing it, and so what you'll see in this video is that I'll have a detailed walkthrough on the various build options, as well as to highlight some of the strength and weaknesses on certain builds and so on. So feel free to exploit certain strength of the build if you find it fit your play style. All right, and I'll also share with you what is behind the scene as well, all the number crunching and so on. Now together with me, a few of my friends here, and from our guild as well. So I thought maybe I'd do something different rather than having the same format all the time. I'm going to play this game while I'm going to explain the background of Cable. All right. So, and this is Cosmic Petrol, by the way. All right. So so this is what we're going to do. And well, before I do that, a big thanks to those who are watching my video on these hero guides and so on. I mean, I understand that some of you may have already exceeded the knowledge I have and beyond, but you still come back here to this channel and sort of contribute on the comments and remind me something that I may have missed and so on. So really appreciate that. Please continue to interact with me in game and in YouTube. All right. So now, what is Cable? Cable is just gone through the we call it the level the 52 review. So what does that mean? In the old days, the heroes are only having like okay, where's Ant-Man name? So in the old days, heroes are having like level 30. You could already unlock everything. But as time goes by, there's something called signature, and you need like 52 level to unlock all the goodies, all the power and so on. So this is what is called a 52 review. Now Cable is one of the last two that's received this treatment to make him more aligned with the modern hero design. And traditionally, Cable is a hybrid of energy and mental on a range, kind of like a build. But that's traditionally. Now it has gone through some really impressive kind of like innovative kind of revamp. He can be either melee or range. He can be pure energy, pure melee. Pure energy, pure mental, or in fact. And also the either you want him to be a hybrid as well. So there's a lot of build options, and this is my job here to sort of like share with you what works for me. Now, although this video is very much on the ranged build, but I will talk about a little bit on the melee as well, and I don't know, who knows, I may create another video just focusing on the melee, because the topics are a little bit different when it comes to gearing and so on. So I wouldn't want to sort of like make this video too long, and but I'll walk through all the builds with you. Alright, so now when it comes to Cable, now he has 3 power trees. So you have the Chronic Soldier, which is very much like the Chrono Soldier, it's very much like all his guns and energy build come from there. And then after that, you have the Ascani Sun, which is the new mental melee. So this is the I keep hitting the wrong button. So this is the one that's on the melee mental build. This is the energy range, which is Chrono Soldier, and the Chosen Sion, which is the mental range as well. So, and then after that, Cable has 3 specializations: the Ordnance and Ascani, as well as mental. And so I've gone through the numbers. I looked through what each number means and so on. So, and basically, there are 4 builds that you could potentially use for Cable. And let me see who else is here. Probably I'm the only one here so far. So let me just focus a little bit here, and the Alright, just find an angle to the whole thing. Alright, so yeah, so the aiming is this gun is sort of like a little bit hard to aim sometimes on what is required, yeah. So there are 4 builds, and based on the 3 specializations, there are the 3 builds, and after that, let me get out of the way. There's a bit of lag there. So there are 4 builds altogether. So the Ordnance and the Ascani as well as the Mental, those are the 3 different builds. And after that, one is of course no specialization, meaning that you are free to pick any power you like. So the way that they build specialization here is a little bit different from the Doom as well as Dr. Doom as well as other specialization hero like Jean Grey these days, is that you are actually restricted on what power you can pick for this. Okay, hang on, let's focus here. So you are actually restricted by the kind of like a number of power that you could pick for each specialization. So for example, if you pick Ordnance, which is the first one, the Chronicle Soldier, so you will get above 25% for all the for picking the Chrono Soldier tree. And however, if you try to pick something on other tree, it wouldn't work if you want to have that specialization. All right. So and same as Ascani as well as Mantle as well. And for hybrid, you actually get another you get 25% across all the trees you have. So in a way, I mean, that's how they try to build this whole hybrid, non-hybrid specialization kind of tree, and they build a lot of like restriction around the tree to make it more interesting on what you can pick for your build and so on. All right, so so there are 4 builds, and the so the first question is which one is the best build, right? So I know a lot of you probably have that in mind. So I've done the analysis. I looked through all the numbers and what is the potential kind of like build that can extract. DPS you can extract from the power itself. Maybe I just explain by first saying that if you are looking for the specialization, you actually have something called the let me just go to somewhere safer to talk about this whole thing, because it's quite a lot of stuff going on. So if you pick something like specialization, you have 1 extra power. So each of these Chrono Soldier, Ascani, Sun, as well as the Chosen Sion, each one of them has 1 special cooldown power. Alright, so if you pick a specialization, you have 1 extra power to play with, and the power will grant you a 25% off that tree. So that is very nice. If you so choose to choose a hybrid, first of all, you will not have this very special power, so you lost number 1. Number 2 is that because specialization augments certain power to make it more powerful for that tree, and also nullify some other effect on other trees as well. So if you choose hybrid, although you can pick anything you like, but there's no such augmentation. So all the power are just like average kind of thing. It doesn't have the extra buff that you get if you were to pick something like a specialization. All right. So and the and also the if you pick the no specialization, you will probably miss 1 power as well. So you can only pick like a 5 power out of 6 that you can deep offensive power. So all in all, the hybrid is actually the biggest loser if you so choose to have no specialization. So I would strongly suggest you, yes, go specialization. And and then the next question is that, okay, so if I chosen to have specialization, which one should I be using? So now all 3 of them are very different, because if you are looking for Chrono Soldier, you are looking for range energy build. All right. So if you're looking for Ascani Sun, it is melee mental, and Chosen Sion is actually a range mental. So suddenly the whole thing opened up, because there are a lot of like option for you to choose from, and also the gearing become very specific as well, because you may want to gear melee but not range. You may want to gear mental but not energy, right? So so what does it really transpire to is that you have to make a decision upfront, and you have to make a decision early as well on what you want to do and which build you want to be, because range versus melee, energy versus mental. So all these things upfront, you have to make the decision, and I'm here to help you as well. All right. So I'll share the numbers with you later on how all this being looked out, and I'm just looking at my number right now. According to my analysis, the Ordnance, which is the first trees up there, the Chrono Soldier, if you choose specialization on that one, it will probably has the highest potential. All right, so that one is like 100%. And if you so choose Ascani or Mental, you are going for a 94% kind of like score. Now, what it means is that you are 6% down, but then each one of them has their own utility as well, because melee you got to be upfront at where the mobs are and so on, And then also when it comes to the last, okay, let me just show you the ultimate. By the way, the ultimate looks really fantastic. All right, so I don't know whether you can see or not because sometimes it's all lag. And okay, so that's the ultimate. All right, so all the beams from above, those are the ultimate. But the lag is quite bad right now. It's quite real. I can't really see what I'm doing. I can't really articulate what I'm doing actually. So I'm just shooting right now, and yeah, let me just continue talking about the thing. And you know, when you talk about the mantle build, for example, it has a different utility to it as well. And because okay, let me just get out from here. Because when it comes to mantle, you can actually have all those clones that can torn as well. So those are very good utility, and you know, because of that, you probably have a lesser kind of like you know, DPS out from it. Alright, so the biggest loser is the no specialization. According to my calculation, is 87% the score. So that is actually pretty low. The margin is a lot. I don't know whether it's because the tuning is not really properly done yet, but you know, it doesn't look good for no specialization. So my suggestion is that, you know, make a decision, specialize into one of them, pick the one that you like. And now the Ordnance is the one that's very interesting for the Ordnance, because, you know, although I mentioned that Ordnance is a range energy, but in fact you could actually build that as a hybrid as well, but you do so more like a gene. So if you recall, I've been doing the gene guide I have, I go for hybrid build, all right? But my hybrid actually is a 99% energy. It's just like, you know, majority of it is just energy with a bit of mantle just to proc the hybrid gear. So for cable, it's the same thing. So I do have to have quite a lot of like sound dancing, and to give me the kind of like you know, let me get out. Whoa. Yeah, man. Whoa, someone freezing in time, man. Thank you for the one who freeze it. Is it a storm or what? Yeah. Yeah, I want to get out. Yeah, so okay, wow. So yeah, that is something that is quite exciting when it comes to cable. There's some power that roots you. You have to be very careful on where you do certain things. All right, so my personal choice within the range is going to be Ordnance as well as the hybrid gear Ordnance. So that is my choice, and I'll talk a little bit about the so-called, like, you know, how I gear for this particular build, because I think it has the best potential as a range cable. So, you know, that is from my many hours of study, also many hours of playing with the wow, there's a moment here as well. Who aggro moment? There's also from my study, and as well as many hours stay in the training room to just, you know, be comfortable with with all the build for the cable, the 4 kind of different builds. So I've done that, and so yeah, I think I covered quite a fair bit on the build itself. I'm trying to looking at my cheat sheet while I'm playing this game. It's actually harder than I thought. So yeah, the reason why I'm doing this is because some of you says that you know, can I have some action while I'm talking and so on, because, you know, just hearing me talking in a training room can be quite you know, kind of not exciting. So yeah, that's the thing that I listen to you all and try to sort of like see whether this will work out or not. So, and okay, so what are the things that I would like to talk to you also? Yeah, so all in all, how do I find cable? So a lot of people ask me that question, how do I find cable all in all? So I would say that cable has a very, like a lot of exciting, innovative kind of build that you can come out from it. And it really depends on how you want to build and play him. So I think that is good news, number one, because, you know, it's actually one of the really complex hero to even study and analyze. So that is a good point. He is definitely a glass cannon. Because, you know, in line with the new heroes, usually the health is quite a fair bit. If you look at the you know, Ant-Man, the Doctor Doom, or, you know, all the recent heroes, Warhammer and so on. No, Warhammer, War Machine and so on. And you know, there's a lot of like health coming from it. Now for cable, if you do not use the health gear, let me just take it off some of the health gear. If I take off this health gear, if I don't use the health costume, and I'm looking at like 20,000 health. That's quite little, right? I mean, you know, it's not. And then if I don't use the power cosmic as well, which some of you may be using a grade 80 legendary that suit his you know, gameplay. So you're looking at less than 20,000 health. I have put some into my through my Omega point as well. So I mean, that is something that yeah, I mean, he is definitely a glass cannon, and yeah, no doubt. And also he's in the past, Cable is a very easy to play, and there are stuff that you could use, and you can put in position some telekinetic barrier to sort of like deflect some of this damage and so on. Now you probably will not be one of the thing that you use because of specialization and so on, depending on your specialization. So all in all, Cable become very complex to play, and I don't know whether you have sort of like pay attention to all the hotbar dancing or not. I constantly have to hotbars to at least 2 powers to play a proper Ordnance hybrid build. So he is extremely, I think it's extremely complex to play, and right now not many of you are a big fan of hotbar dancing. I understand, but then unfortunately this is so it is. I mean, it's one of those things that I would like to sort of like advise or not advise. I mean, feedback to Gazillion that sometimes a good design doesn't have to be so complex as in like all this hotbar dancing and so on. But that's another topic for another hero. So another video. So that is all in all the my feedback on the overall Cable. Whether it is your cup of tea or not, if you enjoy the complexity and the things that going around in Cable, yeah, I mean, try him out. You can play him as a pure range or pure melee, 2 damage type to come from. To play from 4 specialization, including a no specialization. So there's a lot of things to go for Cable. And the next bit of the video is really talking about the build, and then after that, there's a lizard formula. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm going to talk about a build and more in-depth analysis on on all the various specializations. All right, so just stay on. Let's talk about the build when it comes to Cable, and what I'm going to do is I will walk through all the major powers so that even if you would like to mix and match to make it your own, feel free to do so. And when it comes to Chrono Soldier, there are only like 2 options for spender. So one of them is the Pulse Rifle, another one is the Hyper Viper Beam. So if you do not have the specialization, this become a Viper Beam without cooldown. So if you don't want to go specialization, potentially you could pick and mix any of this power out there, and you could potentially end up having a vanilla build like Cable before this review. But like I said, the problem with that Cable is that there's lacking 1 power. It would hamper your overall damage output. All right. So and of course, if you do not have the specialization, you can pick between the Viper Beam as well as the Pulse Rifle. If not for the lags and the kind of like animation aiming issue with the Viper Beam, I would actually very strongly suggest this one for no specialization, because with this one everything is complete, everything is area. So you could use the artifact that buff a lot of area damage. You can get an insignia that's on area as well, ring that's on area. So there's a lot of potential when it comes to this power, but unfortunately this power is not that great to use. Also, when you pick this specialization like I do, this become a cooldown channel. So let's start with the Vortex Granite. So this is a very classic Cable kind of like a damage over time. You see like a whole swirl pool like this one here, right? And the thing is that you can maintain 3 when it comes to no specialization. When it comes to specialize in the Ordnance. And my suggestion is to actually spam this across the Cosmic Patrol if you so wish to, but it doesn't overlap. So there's no point in spamming 3 of them together overlapping each other. It doesn't work that way. So something to think about. There's one good layer there. Another good layer is the another layer, not sure good or not, is a concussion blast as well, because now that you are in Ordnance discipline, this become like a cooldown power. So yet that add another extra layer to your Chrono Soldier tree. All right. So and of course the most important thing you do is the particle accelerator as the Ordnance, because that would then buff the entire Chrono Soldier tree. All right. So and that is very important as well. How it works is that it debuff the enemy with damage over time. All right. After that, it will cause an explosion that will explode upon the enemy itself, single target, as well as all that around. And then that further down have another damage over time and another explosion. So it's quite neat. 3 seconds, 3 seconds, overall 6 seconds of action with the 8 seconds of cooldown. All right. So and once you pick the Ordnance discipline, this becomes like a basic power, but you know it hits relatively hard as well. All right, so it's something that you have to use anyway for single spender, because you can't use anything else as a chrono soldier tree. All right, and on this side of the tree, this side of thing is very melee build. I probably will have another video on melee. I may or may not, depending on whether you guys want or not. But you know, the melee, you know, there's a lot of things on the lounge itself. If you sort of like choose this power, basically you actually have to do a lounge every you know 4 seconds. You have to do a lounge in order to shorten some of the cooldown, like this one here. So you know, instead of 8 second cooldown, you want 4 second cooldown, so that you have to keep lounging, and it's actually not as bad as it thinks. I mean, it seems. It's actually quite interesting because you keep cutting across the enemy, but of course when you do like that, you're not using a spender, so you know your main spender is taking you know, animation kind of like penalty to it. Sorry, the penalty on the uptime of your spender or filler. All right, so something to think about when you play the melee tree. But melee is actually quite interesting. There are a couple of power that you could use as well as melee discipline, the Ascani discipline. All right, so these are nice, and also Ascani will have this one to it also has a 1 second kind of like there's a big sphere coming from the top, but there's sort of like another animation there as well. So all right. I mean, but for Ordnance, the build that I'm advising here, you don't pick any of these things. You just need to pick the foresight bomb, as well as the veterans warrior, because they give you a lot of like a passive effect that you really need. All right, so now on to the chosen Sion. Definitely you need to have this one, techno-organic virus, because you know it has a pretty good defense stats here and there. And you know, I would advise you know, putting quite a fair bit of points in it. Depends on how comfortable you are, but on the other hand, you can't really pick anything else even if you would like to. So you know, it's not something that I mean, yeah, I mean, I would strongly suggest you pick this up. Also, cable can feel a little bit fragile as well after this review, because you suddenly have a certain power that you do not have anymore. Like for instance, the psychokinetic barrier. Psychokinetic barrier, you used to be able to spam it quite a fair bit, and sort of like it become like a blockage of all the things that are coming through, or a bullet and so on. Now it doesn't. Now it just, you know, reduce the projectile. It doesn't really stop it. Doesn't really like, you know, reflect it as well. So you know, it's sort of like, so that's why cable feel a little bit different after this review. But it's all about just learning the hero, you know, playing him a bit differently. And yeah, I mean, after that, I use this psychic haze now, because if you pick the Ordnance discipline, you actually remove the damage over time layer of this barrier, so it doesn't do any mental damage. Now I use hybrid gear, so I need both the energy and the mental. So this one I use the psychic haze. It slow down, but because once the damage over time layer is being removed, this is actually a very lousy kind of like a power. So no point putting anything more than 1 point to it. You just need to keep this every 7 seconds to proc certain things on your rune words as well as your power cosmic. All right. So and after that, I've got 1 point here just to pick up a bit of passive here and there. The projectile deflection chance is important. And after that, I put 1 point here. This is a nice taunt, but it doesn't taunt 100%. This one is very useful if you use mental discipline, because this one, more than taunt, it actually does damage as well, and you can maintain up to 2 of them. You can either line them up, you know, every 6 seconds you reapply again, so you have the taunt all the time, or you can have both at the same time, does more damage, and you know, then it disappear for after 6 seconds, and you know, you have another 4 seconds of you know, not being protected by the illusion. But that's all right. I mean, it's a choice up to you. And then lastly, you know, all these things are very much this is a special power for the mental discipline. All right, so that I hope to give you an idea of what it really means. Now, in terms of hotbar dancing, so I like to at least share with you how I hotbar dance. So you know, F1 is my quick body slide, F2 is my crowd control breaker, which you probably know by now. I always use a CC breaker if I can. F3 is actually apply the psychic haze. F4 is apply the illusion. So it's a fair bit of dancing, because I need to dance to this every 7 seconds or even shorter than that. I need to dance to this one every 10 seconds. So it's a lot of like hotbar dancing, but I can't help it. In order to play cable, to the fullest potential, I think that is probably the way to go. All right, so that is on the build itself. Now, because cable can be a little bit complex, so I thought I'll give you some tips on the rotation. I hope this part of the video is useful to you too. So when it comes to cable, there are a couple of things you can do. Now, observe the energy here, 18 right now, 20 on fighting. So the great thing about power cosmic is that it will up the attribute. So this one should go up to 20, and this one to go up to 22, and also one more lacking here, and also the rune words will give you extra proc as you do energy power as well as mental power. So this is and I also have the artifact, but I'll talk about the gear later, because don't look at those first. I have some rationale behind it why I choose certain things. And let's start with the observe these numbers here. So whenever you do like a mental power, like the haze, target haze, sometimes it doesn't really work, but that is a thing that you have to be aware. All this proc, it doesn't tell you that there's actually a chance to proc. You've seen it. I have to do it twice before it happens. So, but usually as it happens, it will actually keep up as that way. So but it's something that you should be aware. Whenever you see all this, like when you hit with what, it is not 100%. They have some internal numbers that they do not share with you here. But it's very much like hit it, doesn't go right, and hit it again. Right, it go up again. So, but once you maintain this one, it's okay. You can keep the 19, 20. If you hit it with energy, see 20, 22. So that is something that you should look for when you play cable, hybrid build. So I always proc the mental first, so as to make sure that my attribute is up. And after that, if you need to taunt, then you can do a taunt. All right, so that is the taunts there. All right, so you have to hotbar dance to those. But once you get all this thing out of the way, the first thing you really need to do is apply vulnerability. So that's a veteran's, veteran warrior, which is apply vulnerability on him. Then the particle accelerator is the one that start to buff the entire chrono soldier tree. So this is very important to buff it. And after that, you start to layer in whatever you need to do. Like the Grunite, the Vortex Grunite is where you start to layer. And then what I'll do is that I will do this one first, the Concussion Blast. All right, Concussion Blast, and then I hold for 2 seconds. All right, so this is the one that gives you the Hyper Viper, and this is very interesting because these two will go hand in hand together, and I can reapply 1 and 2 again. If you do it that way. All right, so that's quite interesting for you to see. Now, of course, whenever the signature is on cooldown, just use it. So I'm going to fast forward the whole thing and show you how I do it. And basically, you just need to keep applying. And because you can observe all this timer here, because this will last for 10. This will last for close to 10 seconds. This is 8 seconds. This is another 10 seconds. And but in reality, it's very hard to keep all this become like 10 and 8. So I've just cut everything to 8 seconds, including the haze, because the cyclic haze actually prefer to do it every 7 seconds, but sometimes you lose that 1 second anyhow. So because of the hybrid proc, so I'm going to do it fast forwards just to show you how the whole thing goes like. So it's something like you do a mental first, and after that 1, 2, 3, then after that concoction, and do this one, and after that you can do a signature and just keep hitting, and after that you can do it again and dance again, concussion, and then do the Hyper Viper. And after that, continue hitting, and then do the mental, and then 1, 2, 3. All right. Then after that, concussion again, and then after that, do a Hyper Viper. Right. So and after that, you continue hitting, and then mental, and then 1, 2, 3, and after that, then the thing goes, and then you can do the Hyper. The Viper, and after that the signature comes and drop the signature, 1, 2, 3. So it's a fair bit of like dancing here and there, but the thing is actually quite therapeutic. Once you get the rotation right, it's actually quite quite easy. I mean, and but of course, once you go to the real situation, then you have to be able to throw in more Gungnir around all the mobs and so on. So I thought I'd give you some tips on how to do the rotation. I hope you get it as well. It's not that hard, but so long as you can do the stand dancing, I mean the so-called like a hotbar dancing, that will help a lot. All right. So this part of the video is on the gear. Now I haven't really decided what kind of cable I want to sort of like take it to Endgame, because there are many options: melee, mental, or range energy, or range hybrid. So right now my gear is a little bit in a flux right now, but I can share with you what you probably can pay attention to when it comes to cables gear. All right, so now when it comes to artifact, there are many options. So if you are so decided to say I want mental range, there are stuff like maybe I take for example Emperor's. I mean, there are some headband that is very nice for mental damage. There are some are very nice for mental and crit as well. I mean, these are very desired kind of like stuff. Or you can go for energy. I mean, there are artifacts that does quite a fair bit of energy plus the flat damage as well. So these are some of the artifacts that you could definitely use. And when it comes to melee as well, I mean, there's very much gearing for mental, of course. If you want to stay hybrid, there are options like the dupe ectoplasm. Those are very nice for as a hybrid kind of gear. Couple that with the rune words on hybrid. So if you are into melee, then you have a different kind of like melee mental. You have different kind of like rune. So for example, if we want to have mental, I would suggest something like where's my Scarlet Witch? Scarlet. It's too many of them. So for example, Storm Giant Maggie could be one option if you like that. Or if you want energy, then you can pick something else as well. And for me, I pick as hybrid, so these are quite nice for hybrid. All right, so feel free to replace all these. These are just baseline for me to get a reasonable performance in green raid, as well as in the day-to-day kind of like cosmic patrol, cosmic terminal, cosmic gate. All these things are very much as you get a baseline, you can get through. That's fine. But you can do much better. There are many other artifacts that you can do better, like Germ of the Curse, Hand of Doom, and a couple of others as well. That will give you quite a fair bit of good stats as well. So don't need to follow precisely what I have here, but I do value the kind of extra rank from Metasensory, or you can use like Agamotto. Where's my Psylocke? Yeah, like my Agamotto as well. It has a +1 to all power as well. So these are some of the things that you could use. Danger Chip also very nice because it does ramp up all the mental damage kind of thing. So there are many options out there. Just depending on your build and aspiration. My aspiration is to stay flexible, so I can just toggle between different kind of specialization as when I like it. I don't need the kind of max and mins. Of course, when it comes to range, I stick to Ordnance and hybrid because I think as a range that is probably the highest potential. All right. So when it comes to the medallion, again there are options out there. If you are very certain that you want to be mental, then you can take like a wizard, like the one that I have for Emma. Like for instance, you can take a wizard. I mean, this is a very nice mental energy and range energy. If you are into the third specialization, which is the mental discipline. If you are into say mental and melee, then you have to pick something that is don't really have the range there. And if you want to take range and energy like the Ordnance, but not the hybrid type, then Pyro is still the best. If not, then you take a Sauron, which is very much like very generic. Both energy and mental is fine. So I like to stay the generic. And I mean, although I did say that, I mean, this artifact probably, this relics probably have to go, because if I want to stay flexible, I'll probably take the crit damage instead. When it comes to the legendary, because I'm using hybrid, so power cosmic works for me. But if you don't enjoy the kind of stand dancing, just to get the second type of damage proc, totally understandable. You could stay with the full energy or full mental. So for energy, grade 80 is going to be rod. For the mental, grade 80 is going to be the warlock size. Okay, so these are the two that you could take. I haven't really gone through the maths in depth yet, but I will presume if you take a bow, it will be actually not be optimized of the two. But however, if you say, well, I like to sometimes specialize into mental, sometimes specialize into ordnance, and both are not hybrid, so you could take a bow because that would benefit the two of them. All right, so there's a decision entirely up to you. And if you are at the grade 70, which is my range, power cosmic is usually somewhere in between the grade 70 Gungnir and the grade 80 the best grade 80. So power cosmic is, to me, is like a free legendary. I don't really need to pay Odin or grind for it. I've got quite a fair bit of, I'm sure you guys have quite a fair bit of this world stone as well. If you have this sort of number, what is that, I can't remember how much it costs for the power cosmic, but it doesn't really cost much. To me, it's like a free legendary, and it's a very good legendary for hybrid. All right, so if not, then you can always pick a Gungnir. Gungnir will work for all the 4 specialization, including no specialization. All right, so that is something you could think about. On to his, I'm still going through his unique, trying to get something decent for his unique as well. I understand there are things like, if you go for melee, probably this is the one to go. This is probably one is for mental discipline. All right, so there are options out there. I'm sure you know what to pick. With all these things, you probably know what to pick and so on. So I'm not going to go too much about this. And ring wise, I mean, I value health, as all of you know. So I go for the health ring. But there are options out there, like with the limbo ring. It has quite a nice affixes as well, but you need a lot of kind of keep rolling to get it to the right one. I mean, keep opening the coffers to do it. And in terms of the costumes, you could either do a crit damage rating, which I do, or the health. Now, the reality is that with 22,000 health, I mean, it could be quite challenging in the red ray or even the access green, I think, because of the debuff and so on. So I still value health, but you lose out a big chunk of damage, so that is less than ideal. But the hero is designed as it is, so as for the insignia, so I value health and I value crit damage rating, so these are kind of nice affixes for me. And because I'm already fixated on the Ordnance, so this one works for me as well because of energy. I've seen the number, so the mental doesn't really appeal to me. In terms of pets, this is what I have. All right, so then the next bit is on the Omega. Onto Omega, because my build is very much a range energy hybrid, so it should come as no surprise some of this decision I've made. On the 10 points on spin tech, that's against the boss. Then more so important for cable is take some health regen, take some health as well. All right, so and for those who are new to the game, low in Omega point, not to worry, start with Shadow King because it gives you crit, open up the brutal as well. No need to put too much on it because the more points you invest, the higher cost it becomes. So always pick something here and there, And but as and when you get enough to open up the plus 10 energy, go for it because that is where you get the power of the hero much higher. And along the way, it's also very very nice as well, energy and mental. So these are very relevant notes that is leading up to the tree. And after that, gives a pressure for the extra brutal, and after that, remaining upon dump me a little bit on the range power as well because mine is all ranged, and a bit of full on fighting, and after that 4 on the cyber tooth. The reason why I take 10 instead of 9 is that because it's hybrid between mental and energy, but that's all about it. The cost can escalate quite high. All right, so in terms of hero synergy, very standard. Anything that is on energy, I picked. Anything that on crit damage, I take. Energy crit, I also take. So some of this like plus 3 energy and plus 3 mental, that's very good for cable as well, things like this type, so just pay attention to what you can get. This is the energy crit, so yeah, I mean, this is both energy and range, but then the plus 3% is great. Alright, so don't forget War Machine give you the plus 1 fighting. Alright, so that's all I have on the Omega and the synergy. Last bit is on the number crunching. So on to the numbers. This is not going to be short, but I'll try to make it concise for you guys because it took me hours just to take down all these numbers. And to analyze it is really taking a long time, but I'll talk you through, not to worry, just to substantiate some of the claims I've made on the decision that I've made for my build and so on. All right, so feel free to treat it as you feel deem fit. All right. So now I always take down all the numbers on the no gear, no omega point, and so on and so forth. So you guys should know it by now. Now the difference is that I actually put 1 point on veteran soldier. The number may seem lot higher compared to other hero because this gives a damage buff. But I need that because I need to analyze the specialization. All right. So things that are in this sort of like a color, these are the one that with no specialization. Once you specialize, for example, the vortex Gungnir, if you are in Ordnance, you can do it up to 3 area instead of 2 area. But when you do Ascani as well as mental, you drop the damage over time component and your DPS drops significantly. That's why they sort of like restrict you into not being able to put pull too many things around. Basically limit your hybrid possibility. I think that's what they do. All right. So in terms of Viper Beam, on its own is this much, but then after that, or you can do like so-called cooldown, but with 2-second channel. So it's very strange. It's a 6-second cooldown, 2-second channel. To see whether it is a DPS loss or not, as always, you compare to the main spender, which is a pulse rifle. Pulse rifle, it will be like having this kind of DPS. For 2 seconds, you only have like 60,000 in this sort of like a scenario. Then 60,000 versus 145. Of course, it is it's worth it to hold that. For 2 seconds rather than just like waste it for 1 second. So that's how I usually evaluate whether something DPS loss or not. All right. So pulse rifle, if you use Ordnance, you just drop the cost to 0, but there's no change to DPS. Then the concussion also on its own is this much, but then once you do Ordnance, I forgot to put on Ordnance here. This become a cooldown power. It's not really that great because it does have a stun component to it, although it's not irresistible, which I wish it could have been. But it is a layer, but the layer is pretty. Usually the layer is about 7k when you look at the cooldown power, but it's actually pretty low considering the fact that I've already put in 1 point on the warrior veteran soldier. Something to think about. And then after that, you have the melee side of it, which comes on the seamster slice, which of course this will be your spender if you so choose the Ascani Sun, kind of like a 3 Ascani specialization. All right. Then the sweep itself also, Ascani will have it reduces the cooldown from 8 seconds to 4 seconds. Very important. So you look at all these numbers, it's actually pretty fantastic for melee. But what's up with the melee? I don't know. I mean, you'll see the numbers later. And after that, you've got thrust as well. It's a nice DPS. And then after that, you've got the impelling thrust for Ascani is that it'll actually have a quite nice DPS as well. Assume you're a direct hit. If you switch to that specialization, which is in green here, all right. So and after that, if you have no specialization, the bomb come in 2 parts, energy and mental, but it add up is the same thing. So it doesn't matter which specialization, you always have the same kind of DPS, all right. And after that, next bit on the psychic haze, the thing is that it is more for the mental build, because for mental you get this as a DPS which is decent. It's still not that great, but it's decent. It has a slow component to it, but bosses cannot be slow, just for you to know. Then if you choose Ordnance and Ascani, you lose that. But then the good thing is that you actually, the DPS is very, very insignificant, but you use it to proc the hybrid gear. So so this is the only way for you to proc hybrid gear should you choose specialization. Alright, Mind Bullet is actually the main spender for the mental discipline, and as you can see, there's no change to it. It's just that it becomes a basic when you use mental discipline for the Mind Bullets. And it's very strange, it's kind of like frozen there. It's just like, it doesn't even move his head like Emma Frost. It's just like frozen. The Mind Bullet is just thing, the bullet will come out, kind of thing. So yeah, and after that, the psychokinetic barrier, which is also very much for mental. For mental, it is you can up to 3 areas, and for other, it dropped to 0. Basically, it's a 0 DPS. You can't even use it to proc your hybrid gear, so it's pretty useless if you are not using the mental discipline or the no specialization, of course. And after that, telekinetic repulsion as well. It's very strange. Now, in the past, there's a sort of like an aura around cable. Anyone that come onto it is sort of like a repulse. But I think it become a very loophole for the hybrid gear. So I think they try very best to sort of discourage you from being too powerful with the hybrid gear when you go specialization. So they sort of like, you can't really rely on this one too much for the proc itself, all right, because it has a cooldown and it's not that decent. Okay, so this is special power for the hybrid for the Chrono Soldier for the first specialization. All right, Ordnance, and after that, and after that you analyze on the Mr. Slam. Sorry, that is Ascani kind of like a special power. All right, and the launch itself is actually pretty decent. The launching itself add a damage overtime layer to it, and you should keep doing it every 4 seconds if you are using the Ascani build. All right, the last bit is on the Psionic Illusion for the mental build. I mean, for other it doesn't do anything, so there's nothing to analyze. But for the mental discipline, you can either use one, but so long as you don't refresh it too often, meaning that after 6 seconds it expires, it disappears, you do it 6 seconds again, then there's no cooldown. Otherwise, it will trigger a 10-second cooldown. You could either chain it like one illusion followed by another illusion followed by another illusion without inflicting any cooldown. Keep the taunt on, or you can have 2 at the same time and let it disappear after 4 seconds. After 6 seconds, so that will of course give you a higher DPS if you do that. All right. So last bit, of course, is the special power for the mental discipline. Alright, so after that, what I've done is that I then consolidate what can be done on the node specialization, and there are many options to it. Or you can have the Ordnance, Ascani, mental, and this is a summary of all the power up there. So basically, it's a score against it. And by the way, I've also taken the liberty that, for instance, Ordnance, I take a penalty, animation penalty, because of the Hyper Viper beam that is actually in your channel for 2 seconds out of 6 seconds, and that's sort of like you can't really keep up with the pulse rifle, of course. So I already taken a penalty, so I'm not like being giving advantage for any build. So for Ascani, for instance, I'm taking a 25% penalty because I sort of like play and sort of like it doesn't really have a lot of lag, but it has a lot of like lounging here and there. It's sort of like, and also the special power take about 1 second to hit. Same for mental actually the least disrupted one, so it's actually taking the lesser kind of like penalty to it, and still this is the number that you see, and it is what it is, just a guideline out there. And I've also tested in the training room as well, and it is a long video, and because Cable is a very complex hero. So I hope you found this video useful, and feel free to drop comments below and let me know how you play your Cable and whether you enjoy playing him or not. I have a lot of fun with Cable because of the complexity. I love complexity. But I think even the key dancing is a little bit too much for me to handle. But yeah, I mean, luckily I have one of those mouse that has a lot of button on the side that I can just do it in one hand. All right. Anyway, till next time we see each other. Goodbye.